Hello, and welcome to Mind and Money Show, where we talk all things mindset, money management, and our entrepreneurial journey. Along the way, we're going to throw in some amazing guests for good measure. I'm Shane Hyland.
I'm Gareth Shears. This show is going to change your life and teach you skills that school never taught you.
Boom.
Can I bring something up that's been muted in the papers over the weekend? And we won't go into much detail, but there was a well-known national paper over the weekend that ran a story in terms of not recommending not having protection. Now, we don't need to go into the ins and outs of it, but it highlighted to me the fact that if somebody's stating that, how much are people buying into it and not protecting themselves, their family, their businesses in the event of something going wrong that is outside of their control.
Yeah, let's probably reverse back a little bit to where this information came from. The news, the Negative Events World Service, as some of our esteemed colleagues call it, and I think that's quite true. And you have these people, the journalist in question. I'm probably going on a limb and say I'm 100% convinced he's never ever advised a client in his life, has never kind of given any sort of financial advice or been in that situation or actually understood any people who've actually claimed on a life insurance policy for some sort of sad event or income protection or critical illness. I think there's so many of these sweeping statements out there in the press at the moment, which really grates me, to be honest.
I think one of the points that came through in that maybe about it was a waste of money that, you know, it'll never pay out. But I think wires were crossed, and I think the concept of it was different types of plans, and we won't go into the nitty gritty. But in terms of, you know, protection, life insurance, you know, it will pay out if something happens, a specific thing, you die. You know, the other bits and pieces such as critical illness and income protection and all these type of things, they're all unique to themselves. They pay out on specific issues. You know, even last year I've had the benefit of getting one of them paid out to myself. So they do work.
Yeah, they do. And I think people have got to understand is that, yes, these insurances don't generally have a monetary value. There are some old-fashioned ones. There are still some around which do have an end kind of monetary value. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of that. But the idea is that you do never ever claim on one of these insurances, but they are there for if it does happen. And I've had clients who've claimed on them. I have seen the effects of having insurance. I've also seen the effects, sadly, of not having insurance. But you know, it can't be ignored. And I just think, like I say, it's probably a bit of a misconception around it. I think potentially the article was skewed in a way that was trying to make out that people are these old-fashioned insurance salesmen. And don't get me wrong, there'll be a few of those around there selling kind of things like that. But I think if you come down the lines of finding real financial planning advice, it's what underpins it all. Do you know what I mean? You can't put a financial plan in place that you want to have this lifestyle and you want to do all this if it's not underpinned by some sort of insurance. Because if you and your partner are reliant on the income which comes in and you cannot work for some reason, then these insurances are there to kick in to continue that financial plan. So you don't have to sell the house. You don't have to kind of downsize. You don't have to sell all your assets just to be able to live and just kind of cope. You want to be able to continue the lifestyle that you love and are accustomed to and your family's accustomed to.
Yeah. Our financial plans, I think, as you say, show the now, and then we come up with the scenarios of, you know, reduce your spending, or what happens if you die sooner, or save more, and we're coming up with the scenarios of what we need to change. But we do have a duty to protect the person that's in front of us, their husband or wife, and or their children, and the business partners, and that duty of care can only, or the shortfall can only be made up on the red that's on our financial planning technology showing the shortfalls, and the shortfall can only be made up by protecting against some horrific incident occurring that's outside of our control. And it's interesting to note, I've pulled a few stats off from last year, that one company themselves, if we talk about life insurance income protection, one of them was income protection top claims. Cancer was 18%, mental health 15% on claims. It was around the same for the critical illness, but a big thing was business protection. And by that I mean key person cover, partnership protection, relevant life cover, only paid 900k out in the year 2020, which states to me that a lot of people were very, very safe and didn't die, or that market is really, really underprotected. Because if you look at the figures, life cover payouts for the same company in 2020 was 72 million. Income protection was 14.6 million. So there's a lot of money being paid out. And I know when they show the stats, there was something like a 94% payout rate for most of the applications. And the reason for the 6% was, due to false data or claiming incorrectly and stuff like that. So we know through the work that we do that it is an absolute necessity to have this. We can protect people in terms of their lifestyle going ahead by making recommendations or changing their behaviour, but we cannot protect something happening to them that will have a massive impact, and both to them, their family, their children, their business, and can derail whatever lifestyle plan that we've put into place for them or recommended.
Yeah, and I think so many people are kind of bury their head in the sand with it'll never happen to me. You hear that so often, and you read about it so often, it'll never happen to me. But yeah, hopefully it never will, but statistically there's a good chance it will. And I think, coming back to your business insurance there, which you say hasn't paid out much, well, we've surveyed business owners ourselves, haven't we? And I think the stats are quite alarming, because I think it is somewhere in the region of 25%. I think, if I can remember, actually do have insurance to cover themselves within the business, or key people in the business. They've got all their technology insured, their fleet vehicles insured, their building insured, their public indemnity insurance. I know you're going to have that. But what they don't have is themselves and the key people in the business. And some of these businesses, and I would say actually the majority of these businesses, are reliant on the owner actually being the main cog that keeps the business moving. And they just bury their head in the sand and not insuring themselves, And I just think it's a institutional thing within the UK with regards to kind of insurance, because you read a lot about insurance in other companies, and it's seen as far more of a kind of necessity, I guess required, more than anything.
It's funny when you say the it'll never happen to me. However, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday night, people spend a shed load of money on the lottery on the grounds that it could be you. And it happens to the odd person that they win. There's a higher percentage chance of getting an illness rather than winning the lottery. But I do agree. Go back to the protection side of it. The stats that we've looked at and the polls that we've ran. I think far too many people think they know their numbers, don't know their numbers, and are not adequately protected both for themselves or the business. And we have a duty of care to create the best lifestyle for people, show them what they need to do, how they need to do it, and we can map scenarios which may or may not be correct, such as if a growth rate on a pension or an ISA or whatever product it may be grows by this, you're going to have enough. But what we also can do at the very outset is show them their numbers, so they get the option of deciding whether they want to protect their numbers or not. Because it's all good and well having a plan going forward for the niceties in life, but if poo hits the fan, there needs to be something there that can allow them or their family or the business partners to continue with the lifestyle that they have always dreamed about.
Yeah, exactly. And and I come back to this kind of misconception that it won't happen to me, you know. But I'll come to something that I do a lot with clients, and I draw on the board across, and in the top left-hand corner, I put a picture of their mobile phone and their sort of dog. In the next one, then I put a picture of their car, and then in the bottom left, I put a picture of their house and some other kind of things like that. And in the bottom right, I put a picture of them. And I always ask them how many kids you got. I kind of already will usually know that. Picture of them, their partner, their kids. And I'll say, okay, let's go through these. Let me guess. Your mobile phone, you've insured that. Your laptop, your iPad, you've insured that. I can imagine you've probably insured your boiler and your Sky. Then you move on to the car. Yes, we have to insure cars and so on and so forth, but there's a good chance they've insured their bike as well. The house, yes, you have to insure that. And then you come to the last box and say, have you insured the most important people in your life? Your family, your kids, you, because if you can't continue to work or do anything like that, I put a big X through it, all these things go down the drain. You can't insure your Sky, you have to stop having it. You know, you probably have to give your house up. You know, you probably have to get rid of a car or so on and so forth. But that's the thing. And we're all so good at kind of, we go and buy that Starbucks coffee, which might cost you £3.30 every day. You know, even if you just cut back on a couple of those coffees, insurance is not expensive. Well, the older you get, it gets expensive. But actually, you've got to look at the bigger picture. You know, you've got to protect the things that are important to you. And I think that's where we hugely miss that point.
The final thing I think, which we have seen, is a plan for an individual, a family, or business will be bespoke. It will have specific numbers. I think far too much in the past, people decided through banks, through advisors, that the number of £250,000 or £500,000 or £1 million of life cover or critical illness, whatever it may be, sounded nice. Everyone is individual because everyone will have a specific income related to themselves. They'll have specific they'll have specific expenditure which is related just to them and their family for a period of time. So you can only protect yourself correctly when you know your numbers and you have gone through a plan which will be specific and bespoke to you. And each person or family's numbers will be individual numbers for them. No two families, individuals, couples will be the same. And I think this is the big thing that people need to do, is to understand what lifestyle they have now, what lifestyle they want to have in the future, try and ensure that they can make that happen by spending less, saving more, whatever it may be, but also ensuring that if something horrible did happen, that all of that good work that they've put into practice won't be wasted, and that lifestyle that they wanted for themselves, their husband, their wife, their business partner, their children, can continue by having the correct numbers in place.
Yeah. So I guess in short, should you have insurance?
Absolutely yes, but should it be a specific rounded number like everyone seems to have? No. It's getting to know your numbers and looking exactly what you need.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be specific to you, hasn't it? It can't just be your generic, 100 grand here or 100 grand there. I think you've got to really drill it down into something more specific about what covers your needs and your lifestyle.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe and remember to follow us on social media for more content like this.